deny that. How many they are, and as I guess was pointing out, where they've come from, we don't actually know. But he has chosen Green Square in Tripoli to come out and make that public appearance as opposed to the televised address we saw a few days ago, which went on for somewhere in the region of 1 3/4 hours, I think it was, 1.5 hours at least. This, a very short, sharp speech to his supporters in the crowd. Some of the highlights we got as they happened.
We will die here on the dear soil of Libya. We will defeat any foreign attempt as we defeated the former Italian imperialism. This is the formidable force, invincible force of youth. Life without dignity is worthless. Life without green banners hoisted is useless. It is the life of pride, dignity, and victory. The green flag flying and hoisted. You, the youth, be comfortable at any place, in the streets, squares, dance, sing, stay up all night, live a life of dignity with high morals. Muammar al-Qaddafi is one of you. Dance and sing, joy and rejoice.
So there you go, Muammar Gaddafi in the flesh, in person, in Green Square, absolutely defiant. This is the audience he was delivering to. And again, the point we make is that these pictures tell a story of a very large crowd, a frenzied crowd in favour of Muammar Gaddafi. We need to put it into some sort of context and see how many people there are actually there and where they have all come from. Nevertheless, they are happy with what they have heard. One of the key lines which came out of that speech, and I am slightly paraphrasing here, but how he said it: we can defeat any aggression if necessary. At that time, we will arm all the people. This is the type of rhetoric we heard. We can defeat any foreign attempts, any Italian imperialism. This is the formidable force of youth, the enthusiastic youth of the revolution. Tariq Youssef, he's talking about a different revolution to the one everyone else is talking about, isn't he?
Absolutely. I remember I was a high school student in Libya. Once a month, we were bused to a square in the city where we lived to listen to one of his speeches. This was not a voluntary act of support for the regime very early on in the regime's life. This was a mandatory part of our civic duty to the revolution.
So does this look familiar to you?
This looks extremely familiar, and I wouldn't be surprised if many of these people were bussed in from the mosques, from neighborhoods, from south of the country, from the central part of the country, to engage in precisely this show of defiance.
What do you make of that line I read earlier? We can defeat any aggression if necessary. At that time, we will arm all the people.
He's trying to change the parameters of what is happening in Libya. To him, this is not a battle between him and the Libyan people. It's a battle between him and reactionaries, foreign agents, hallucinators, drug addicts, people who don't belong to Libyan society. Hence, he's appealing to the notion of pride, anti-colonialist rhetoric. These were the speeches we heard from Gaddafi in the 70s, and while they may have made sense back then because Libya was still decolonizing, Libya felt it needed to establish its autonomy. 42 years after his rule, it's not clear to me that he's not precisely the problem that people are rebelling against and to which these terms apply. Libyan youth are standing up against him. The country is using, or the public that we've listened to in the last couple of weeks is using the rhetoric of freedom, liberation, a new Libya, more peaceful Libya, more united Libya. I think he's essentially trying to rechange the debate, remake the debate.
What's the chance he's running scared? That he's actually looking at what's happening in the rest of the country particularly and thinking, I have to up my side of things because they have got a real chance here?
That is probably also the case as well. Perhaps at this moment he's getting additional reports, more reliable reports from his own circle as to what is happening, and hence he needed to make this public statement. Yesterday we noticed also Saif al-Gaddafi spoke on Libyan TV. The other son also made a press statement. They're beginning to slowly accommodate what is happening in the rest of the country, and perhaps the show of this act of defiance is...
Let's just look at these pictures. Sorry, it just caught my eye seeing the way they carry the pictures of them. They jump up and down. It looks genuine. I will say that. That looks like complete, honest support for the man. Your knowledge as a Libyan, as a man who used to be bussed to these events, what's your take on those young men there particularly?
Most of the individuals we're seeing in those pictures have known none other than Gaddafi, have learned nothing else but what a curriculum that embodied the Green Book had told them, have been disconnected from the outside world, know very little about what they are capable of achieving versus where they are. I don't think it is...
Sorry, so they do support him, but they just don't know anything else?
Absolutely, they don't know anything else, and they stand to lose potentially, or maybe they're scared of the instability that would ensue. Perhaps they were been watching too much footage of what's happening in Iraq, and they've started thinking that, in fact, this might be an act of foreign intervention that's going to come in, and Libya is going to lose its autonomy, its independence. Two-thirds of Libya's population is under the age of 30. And
so
in one of the most closed societies, most repressed, where the media is essentially tightly managed by the government, and where even internet freedom has only come in recently, I'm not completely surprised that, in fact, many of them, for varieties of reasons, believe he is the right choice. That reminds me also of the Iraqis who used to come out at the last moment of Saddam regime's regime.
Do you know, I was just thinking, just as we watched these pictures from earlier, this was just after the speech was delivered, that's around 7 p.m. in Libya. The sky actually looks kind of light there. The shot we saw earlier, you saw a brighter evening sky. I'm wondering, is it, at this time of the year, this is the cynic in me, this is the wondering how live this actually was.
There is no, I think you couldn't be cynic when it comes to trying to understand what is happening in Libya. If they spent the last 4 days cleaning up any evidence of human rights violations that have taken place in Tripoli to accommodate foreign journalists arriving today, why wouldn't they orchestrate this? Remember, we have not gotten any phone calls yet, or any emails, or any information through social media network confirming that, in fact, this speech has taken place. So I'm a bit suspicious about the timing and the
And did you
size.
see what he was wearing? The woolly, the sort of the hat around his ears?
Yes.
Would it be really cold there? Sorry, I know these are sort of odd questions I'm asking, but it's context that we're looking for, isn't it?
We're looking for context, and we're looking for consistency with other facts we've heard about Tripoli today.
Tariq, stay with me just a moment. The earlier part of the speech, which we missed earlier with the translation, we've got it now. Let's have a listen.
I am among the public. We will continue to fight. We will defeat them. We will die here on the dear soil of Libya. We will defeat any foreign attempt as we defeated the former Italian imperialism. This is the formidable force, invincible force of youth. Life without dignity is worthless. Life without green banners hoisted is useless. It is the life of pride, dignity, and victory. The green flag flying and hoisted. You, the youth, be comfortable at any place, in the streets, squares, dance, sing, stay up all night, live a life of dignity with high morals. Muammar al-Qaddafi is one of you. Dance and sing, joy and rejoice.
Bit of a recap there for you of actually the closing stages of Muammar Gaddafi's impromptu speech, I'm calling it at this stage, because certainly it came as a surprise. Nothing was flagged up as it has been in the past, the idea of him speaking to the nation. This was him in Green Square in Tripoli. But Tariq Youssef and I here in the studio just casting our eyes over the shots that you're seeing. The large number of supporters, perhaps questioning where they have come from and are they genuine supporters, and also that the time of day should have been around 7 p.m. in Tripoli, but the sky does look light. It could be a trick of the camera, it could be the way that the lens of the camera has been opened up to allow more light in under dark conditions. The point is, Tariq, we don't know. We probably never will know it unless someone calls in from Tripoli and tells us they saw this happen.
That's right. The more we look at the footage, actually, the more we discover areas where we can ask questions. For example, typically when Gaddafi addresses a crowd in Green Square, he's addressing them from a podium, a large podium, where he's surrounded by a lot of his loyalists. I haven't seen any of them in this footage. Two, typically Green Square is completely empty and it's packed with mobs so that you would not see any of the buildings. Packed, now it's not as dense. So I think there's much more we can discover by looking more at the footage and perhaps asking the technicians to try to piece some of the.
It is our job to question, isn't it, Tariq? Stay there for me, because I want to explore another thread of this story right now. That is the entire Libyan mission to the United Nations in Geneva, saying it will now represent only the Libyan people, not the regime of that man, Muammar Gaddafi. It came as the United Nations Human Rights Council was meeting to discuss the Libyan uprising. We're going to go live to Geneva and speak to the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights. It is Navi Pillay joining us, and we thank you for your time. And what have you discussed today? What decisions have you reached?
Well, here I am, just stepped out of the session of the Human Rights Council, where a historic resolution was adopted without a vote. That means unanimously. The resolution condemns the violence, asks for a cessation, sets up an investigation committee, a commission, and directs me to assist with that, and has referred the matter to the UN General Assembly under a provision where the UN General Assembly can suspend a member who is grossly violating international humanitarian and human rights law.
With the greatest amount of respect, you used the words condemn and ask for cessation. What is that going to achieve?
It immediately registers, every member of the Human Rights Council and observer states address the Council condemning